Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, everybody. How are you? Welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. Give me just a second. I am going to get over to my phone. Today's a different day here on the show. Just a little bit different. I'll explain why in a second. But I want to pull up the broadcast on my phone so that I can follow the questions, messages, comments, all that sort of thing. There we go. Okay, I have it. So if you see on there, look, hi, Wendy Meyer. Good morning to you. I see Brendan. I see you and the baby. So listen, you guys, if you noticed in the promo for today, there was a big megaphone and it said sound off. Uh, so much has been happening. Our world is changing and has been changing for the past few weeks uh, in some form or fashion each and every day. Well, yeah, it changes every day anyway, but you know what I mean with COVID-19 and with all of the different mandates and whatnot that we've all had to adhere to or been instructed to adhere to, whether we're doing it or not. Um, and just an overabundance and influx of information from all directions. And so I thought it would be a good idea today to open up the microphone for you all. If you noticed inside the promo, I said that each of us, everybody has an opinion, and today we'd like to hear yours. So you might just want to scream and moan and think about something that is just you just need to vent. We need to get it out. Maybe you want to um, uplift someone. Maybe you have a friend, a family member, a neighbor who is a first responder, a healthcare worker that you'd like to um, uplift today and celebrate, if you will. So, whatever it is that's on your mind that you want the world to know about how you're feeling currently, is what we're going to try to do here. But as we build the audience, let me go ahead and uh, advise everyone of my little things that I have to say every morning anyway. First thing is, I'm Loren Michaels Harris, like I said, your host, and welcome to the show. Won't you, my sidekick, Miss Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. And I might seem a little bit sluggish this morning, only because I went to bed fairly early, really early. And then I set my alarm and I got back up at midnight to watch a live broadcast from out in LA just to see how they were doing it. Show they were doing on a virtual show that they were doing on Instagram. And I don't do too much on Instagram. I mean, I post pictures and things, but I don't know much about their live platform. So I got up to watch that, and I was up for two until 2 in the morning watching that, and then went back to bed. And you know how that goes. So that's all it is. We are streaming live, even if I don't seem like I'm that much alive. We're streaming live as we are every day on Facebook, YouTube, Roku, Android, Apple TV, Periscope, and of course from our home base in Phoenix, Arizona, the wonderful people at E360 TV Live. So, and also a shout out, as you see on the bottom, crawling across the screen, our wonderful friends over at symposium.us who sponsor this show. This is where conversation becomes currency. Whatever it is you need to do to create another stream of income, um, Symposium is there to help. You can do everything from a one-on-one to a one-to-many broadcast, a live stream, a mastermind, a master class, whatever it is. I have a client who does vision board classes over there. I've done tons of different things from there, from masterminds to we broadcast, we live streamed the Power Week Symposium Atlanta through Symposium, and we gathered all of our votes for last year's competition, the Next Impactor. The folks over at symposium.us are going to help you turn your cell phone into a payphone. So get over it. First thing is to download the app and take a look at all the different offerings that are up there and see if there's something you might do to add an additional stream of income to your world with the help of Symposium. Nick Harris, welcome. I see that you're here. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Nick, maybe you'll have something to say today. I certainly hope so. If you guys look at the top of the comment section, you'll see a link there. That is the link, Brendan. I know you always have a lot to say. You might talk about the financial situation, but the mic is opened up. You can come in for a few minutes each today, and you just click on that link, and it'll bring you in. and we'll follow the instructions. It'll ask you to type your name, so your name's on the screen, so everyone knows who you are. If not, excuse me. Hi, Narinder Pun, coming to us, joining us all the way from Singapore. Nice to see you, my dear. I love your new profile picture. It's absolutely gorgeous, as are you. And Narinder, maybe you'll come in and tell us what's it like in Singapore with this thing. Are you guys sheltering in place? Um, how's it going over there? I would love to hear about that. Good morning, Tammy LaBelle from Southwestern Michigan. If you guys are just coming in, I'm going to keep saying it because I don't want to be the one sitting up here chit chatting. I'm fighting a cold, chit chatting all day, all morning rather. But today I've opened up the stage, the mic, the opportunity for you to talk about anything. And this, now I want people to understand. You don't have to be a speaker. You don't have to be an influencer. You just have to be a person who, maybe it's the fact that you're homeschooling. Tammy, are you home with your kids right now? What's it like? If you want to come on today for a few minutes and just, I just felt like people need a place to vent. Talk about cabin fever, to maybe talk about, like I said, celebrating some of the first responders in your community. How close has this epidemic come to your home? Okay, we have Brendan here, so I'm going to bring him in. And hi, Brendan.
Hey, how's it going?
How come I don't hear? Wait. Okay,
Okay.
there you go. I always panic. 99.9% of the time, any tech issue is on me. So thank you for giving me that 1/10 of a percent that wasn't with your sound. You scared me though. How are you?
Oh, we're doing all right. I just you said, hey, anybody want to chat? And of course, um, we always have something to say,
Yeah,
or think about. So
yeah. Now you're in. Brendan was here a few weeks back. For those of you who remember, maybe you weren't around. And he and his wife Amanda, they have a business called Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. Correct?
yes, exactly.
Okay, now they just recently, right before the epidemic or the pandemic, they had relocated to Ohio from right here in Illinois. So as soon as you got there, you probably haven't even met any neighbors or anybody, have you?
Actually, I met more neighbors here than I did in Chicago. I think because the interesting thing is everybody's at home and they all like sat outside in the front yard and
Oh, okay.
um, like so I met quite a few of them.
Oh, well,
Um,
nice.
yeah,
Well, see, there you go. There's something right there that people have been forced to slow down a bit,
mhm.
to actually stop and smell the roses, if you will, and say hello to their neighbors. That's an interesting point. I'm gonna keep track of some of the things. So, today's show is all about sounding off, a place to vent. So it may
Mhm.
be, I mean, it doesn't have to be what you usually talk about, finances or whatever, but I wanted to hear what is it that people, and this is what I'm getting at, folks.
Mhm.
One of these days we are going to find ourselves on the other side of this experience. And I ask myself every morning before my feet hit the floor, and I ask what is greater than me, help me find the pieces to this puzzle. Because, I don't want to open my door on the other side of this thing, and my yard is filled with pods that are filled with PTSD.
Right.
I want to be a better person. I want to live in a better community, a better world, around better people. So I just figured maybe, people can talk. Have you seen anything that pisses you off? Do you have someone you want to celebrate? How close has this thing come to you in your family? Whatever it is. So, what is it you'd like to sound off about today, Brandon?
So it has my web developer is from Spain or from Ireland, but in Spain, he had gotten the coronavirus and was out sick like pretty bad, um, and some other people and family. What this has really reflected and made me think about is you know how you have an earthquake, right? And our foundation, the everything just topples, right? Um, what I think this really does for a lot of people, and we get to choose and look and say, "Oh, my house got destroyed. That sucks," or kind of look back and say, "Okay, I have a chance to rebuild a solid foundation. We're looking at things and saying, okay, what is important? I think that's where I'm kind of looking at it now and saying, okay, busy. Everybody was super busy, running here and there. Now we are in this slowdown, and so at this point, like, what are the rhythms that I want in my life that I'm going to come out of this and say,
Mhm.
okay, I'm a better person because of it. So um,
Right.
we get up at 5:30 still, still exercising. I just did a live earlier and saying, and I'm in Cincinnati, right? So there's a lot of hills, and personally, I don't like the hills running up them.
Yeah.
Um, but what I've learned is taking that hill and running up that thing. There's a sense of accomplishment when that happens, but building those solid foundations, that's kind of grandma's wealth wisdom. When it comes to our finances, when it comes to our family, when it comes to our business, we have a great time to do that. And so um, that's kind of where I've been thinking is we can look at the bad stuff or we can look at the good stuff.
Amen. So, Brendan, on the finance note, quickly, and I want to ask you one more question. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I saw a lot of comedic little pieces and vignettes, video vignettes around the first. I saw a really funny one with Will Ferrell, uh, where he opened the door and there's this. It must have been one of his family members' kids. This little girl that she looked about this big, but she must have been like 3, and she was like, he was like, "Listen, Ruth or whatever her name was, I told you I'm going to be late on the rent." And she's looking up at him in her little frozen gown. And she's like, "Where's my money, bitch?" Oh my God. It was so funny. You got to find that one. And it was funny, but I love the way he did that because, that was a scary time. I saw something on one of the news things on my phone yesterday, a protest, even here in Chicago, with one of the biggest developers downtown, owns like um,
Mm-hmm.
39 different properties or something. And they were just forcing, really on people's asses about the rent when
Yeah.
it's not like you don't know what's going on. So, I mean, a lot of people may seem shocked or like, wow, I really that many people this quickly are affected that they can't pay their rent. What do you say about, well, yeah, because I know you're not surprised. We always hear where most people are one paycheck away from something.
Well, you remember the government shutdown that happened about
Yeah.
maybe 6 months ago, and
Yeah.
all the news that happened with that, and they were out for a paycheck for two pay periods. Um, and you think about that, this is bigger than the government shutdown.
Way
This,
bigger.
this is huge. And if we think that this money that we're getting from the government is no strings attached, that it's just free money, we got to think again. Um, there will be costs to this, and I think it's going to affect us. And so that's again looking back and saying, okay, what is my foundation? Was it built on sand, or am I going to build a solid foundation? We all get that choice, and maybe looking back and saying, um, there's going to be an emergency that happens again. Like, yeah, I told you that before.
Yeah.
Maybe build a solid foundation of an emergency fund, right? Um,
Well, what
we
about
need that.
what do you think, Brendan? Okay, because there are people sitting there going, okay, well, yeah, where were you last year? I wish I'd have heard this guy before. But now here I am in the middle of this thing, and I don't have that foundation. What are a couple things that people can start doing now?
Educate yourself. Don't put your head in the sand. Like I do a daily live with my at Grandma's Wealth Wisdom.
Mhm.
Maybe you're not at that place, but be educated. Don't put your head in the sand and say that the government's going to solve my problem. Uh, Wall Street's going to solve my problem. Whatever. We have the opportunity to educate, and so yes, you can't look backwards and say, "Man, I wish I would have." All we can do is look forward. And so this is a great time to listen, educate, and really think about every dollar. Every dollar should have a job
Mhm.
as it comes in, and put money aside. Do you really need that great new iPhone every 5 minutes,
I don't. Yeah.
or can you start building a more solid foundation? Do we need to upgrade our cars every 5 seconds, right?
You know. Right.
Um,
Right. Well,
prior,
you know,
yeah,
it's funny too. You just said iPhone and it made me picture because I have an iPhone, and every time I drive past the Apple store, it's always packed in there. I mean, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, it really is. It's like an airport in there all the time. And I bet those people that love to frequent in there are going through some detoxing, some Apple detoxing because they can't go in there and hang out and play with gadgets. But let me ask you something on a lighter note. There are some trends around the country. I know here in Naperville, Illinois, we're participating in both of them, and they involve kids. And it's one of the things I look forward to every day. Good morning, Aaron Hymes. Good morning, Brandy Drake. For those of you who are coming in, Myra Jean, hi, good morning, all. D-Ball. Today is Sound Off Day here on Bathrobe Moments. No guest, you are the guest. And speaking with Brandon Neely of Cincinnati, Ohio, right now. This is a platform today. The mic is being passed around the room to all of you. So if you're pissed off about something, cabin fever, you're eating. I know a lot of us are cooking, and cooking more, eating, and eating more. But we're moving. We're staying. Hopefully, you're keeping movement in the mix. But whatever it is, perhaps there is a first responder that you'd like to celebrate or speak to what they're doing and how far they're towing the rope. And just whatever it is, I want you to know today's a safe space right here in Bathroom Moments for your voice to be heard. So these two trends that we have, I'm sure there's others. Um, are you aware? Are you familiar over there in Cincinnati with the bear hunt?
I don't know what that is. I
The
keep
bear
seeing
hunt.
them.
Well, we just got involved this weekend. We found out about it through some people in Michigan. People are putting pictures of bears, stuffed teddy bears, whatever, somewhere either on your property or in a window. And when parents are out walking with their children, they look for them. So it's like a scavenger hunt. So as they walk around, they're looking in windows and yards. I'm gonna photocopy a picture of a bear today and stick it in one of our flower beds. But we have two windows, one upstairs and one downstairs, that have bears in the windows right now, like waving out at the kids. But that's one of the things. And then also um, the chalk art. Have you seen that? Are the kids
Um,
doing that there, where they're leaving positive affirmations and messages on the sidewalks where you walk?
there's a lot of things. I mean, again, that's part of like our neighborhood. Like we all had like an impromptu kind of uh, not a block party. I wouldn't say that. A social distancing party. Um,
Saturday night,
we had that on Friday night. Not it was
making a
not
bunch of
the
noise.
that was not the one downtown. Um,
Okay.
that was in the news. But
Oh,
we were just kind of hanging out and again being distant, but um, at the same time getting to know each other
getting to know each other.
and I think there was a zoo thing where they made a zoo since the Cincinnati Zoo closed, um, where there's a lot of like zoo animals, uh,
Oh,
and they put in the trees monkeys and all kinds of stuff. So
now I saw on the news yesterday just that stuff that comes on your phone. Jason Andrew, good morning. Welcome to the show. Uh, I don't know how true it is. Maybe some of you guys, if you've heard, you can comment in the comments. Did you see where they said a tiger has been
yeah, yeah,
diagnosed with the coronavirus?
yeah, yeah.
And we up to this point we thought animals couldn't be affected by it. Do you think that's a hoax or is that what do you think?
I mean, I'm no scientist or doctor. I think the reality is we didn't think any of this would happen 2 months ago.
Right.
Uh, and the other thing is, um, again, I go back to we can control what we can only what we can control, and that's up in our head.
Right.
Um, do I think that that's possible? Yeah. I mean, who knows with science and all of that. The I don't want to also be run by fear either. That
Right.
we can't ever go to the zoo. Now, not that you would pet a tiger, but
No.
but I think again, it's just a matter of hey, take this time, be close to your family, uh, build in some routines. I have not gained any weight during this. I'm actually losing weight,
Oh,
um,
how
and I
nice
feel
for
like
you.
Well, it's because I'm doing certain habits. I'm still having healthy habits that I'm trying to create.
All right, all right. You get a bell ringer. There.
Yeah,
Happy? I'm just kidding.
yeah, there you go.
Well,
Healthy habits. We
I
can control those.
I was doing well, and I mean, we still are. We're walking, we're riding our bikes, we're working out here at home on our equipment here. But I got to tell you, I'm taking this opportunity. I'm keeping real. I ain't got no shame in my game. I am doing a lot of comfort food cooking because I need comforting. So I'm
Yeah.
doing it like I made a bean soup over the weekend. You know, you keep that ham bone in the freezer and finally pulled it out, and it was actually really great. Um, but I will say this for some odd reason, you know, when I order the groceries, I'll be like, oh, intimates. Well, we deserve a treat. Everything's so dark right now. That will put some light in the house. Um, Check that one. And that's a shame because I need to quit doing that because that's going to be our undoing.
Well,
But
and the thing is, how did we get in this situation in the first place? We always said we deserve a treat
well, I
before the
do
crash
deserve
happened.
one.
But
I,
everybody said that in '08 or in
are you
pre
talking about money?
money, right? Yeah, we
Oh
always,
well,
like, I say this to myself. Well, I deserve a cake right now. I did because it was my birthday the other day, so I did
happy
deserve a
birthday.
treat. But sometimes, again, building those habits, yes, we deserve it, but not every day.
Not every
Um,
day. Everything within reason. So
yeah,
there's a difference between a treat and a cheat. So
yeah,
let's put it that way. So I'm going to just remind everybody out there that at the very top of the stream, if you go to your phone, go to the broadcast, go to the very top, the very first thing right underneath, well, on mine it says Wendy Meyer is watching with you. You'll see the bathrobe moments. I'm in a red shirt. I've dropped a link in there. That is your opportunity. That's your key to this door. Use it. Come in here and you know, we need to be talking more. We need to share more, just like Brendan Neely is from Cincinnati, Ohio, on the screen right now. But come on, you don't have to wait for him to go. You can actually hit it.
yep, jump
You can
in.
come, you can come in now. Um, so Nick Harris, have you something to say? Narinder Pun tells us that she's over in Singapore, and I asked Narinder how things were over there. She goes, everything is under control over here. We are on partial lockdown right now, though the numbers are rising, but they are confined to a certain cluster. Oh, so the numbers over in Singapore of cases are rising. Oh, because you know okay. Myra Jean says I've been asking whether the 1,200 will have to be shown. Oh, she's talking about the money. She wants to know. Oh, Brandon. Okay.
Mhm.
She wants to know, will the 1,200 have to be shown as income on our 2020 taxes? I say yes, but so many people think that this is free money. What say you, Brendan? Brandon.
So, so they haven't written a lot of the implications and code, right, for what this is going to mean.
Hi, Jordan.
What I'm seeing and what I read from Forbes is it's going to be kind of like an advance from 2021 taxes. So if you thought you were going to get $3,000, well, they're going to subtract that.
Oh, they're
Um,
coming to get that money back later.
mhm. That's more than likely what's going to happen. Again, you got to think also this money that we came. How do you think they made that money? Where did that come from?
They just
Yeah,
printed some extra.
printed, and what else? What else did they do? How do you think the federal government makes their money?
Um, their money.
Which is from
I don't
where?
know. I don't know what they did. I ain't saying nothing because I don't want to come up missing. We're in
Taxes.
quarantine. Nobody would even know I was gone.
Taxes, right? We're getting a return of our taxes, right?
I'm
So
going to ask you to refrain from dirty, low down, nasty language on this show. Don't use the T word ever again. Ever. Okay, I'm
well,
kidding. So, really, taxes?
yeah, I mean that's where our money comes from for the government is from taxes. So you got to think, what do
True.
you think is going to happen in the future to?
Raise them?
Yeah. I mean that's what I think would happen, maybe. And
Okay, I'm getting
so
depressed.
we got to think, and again, you got to think not just the now, but in the future, like Grandma did. Think
And
generationally,
yeah,
and think like what she's saying is, okay, what's going to happen down the road? if you get this income or this check, don't spend it all on frozen pizza. Maybe think strategic about how you're going to use this money that's coming to us. It's
I have a
not free.
question. I have a question. So, is it automatically going to show up in the mailbox or in your account? What if you're a person who says, "I don't want it"?
You'll still get it. For me, I think if you don't want it, donate it, something. It will come back to us and again taxes or something. I think again,
Oh,
they're building the road as we go.
so when do you think we'll start seeing those checks, Brandon?
I mean, I watch the same news you do, so I think 3 to 5 weeks maybe. What we do between then. I mean, you know how the government is, because they were very slow at responding to certain things, and so
No. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, when it gets here, that's when it's gonna happen. So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Don't depend on it.
Back about the rent. And for those of you out there watching today, please speak up. Let us know. Do you know anyone who had trouble paying their rent this month or withheld their rent? Chris Cash, you're a realtor. Let's. I don't know if you're still out there watching, but are people buying houses? What's happening? And I also would be interested in knowing. Have you heard about? There is a freeze on evictions.
Yep.
So what's going to happen after this is done? All of a sudden, the dam is unblocked and everybody's out on the street, or are they going to give
So
people? How is that ever gonna? I don't get it.
yeah, I think if we're fooling ourselves if we think this is just going to end in a month. The economic turmoil that's going to happen. I talked to my mortgage guy because we just bought a house, right? And I'm
Right.
like, hey, what's going on? And what he's saying is, it, behind every realtor or behind every renter is somebody who owns that. And do you think that the person who owns that property, do you think that they're going to still have to pay their mortgage, right? Just because you're a renter doesn't mean the mortgage isn't still due, or
Right.
some of that.
That it's paid off already. Right.
And so what I think and what they're saying in my mortgage world is interest rates or mortgages will probably increase a lot due to foreclosures, due to all of this. So they're gonna if you have a liquidity in your house, any kind of like 100,000, maybe it's time to refinance because it's gonna change drastically in the next 6 months or so, if not sooner. So I think we have some interesting times ahead when it comes to mortgages. Like, think about Detroit and how that played out. I think we are going to see a big challenge. So
Yeah.
we have control of what we can do now. And so if you still have your job, maybe think about refinance, see what's happening, talk to a mortgage broker, see about having access to the cash, because the rates are at 2019 levels, right? So
Right.
just some things to think about.
Right. And the most important thing I think I've heard today is do not bury your head in the sand. It's so easy to feel like it's justified, and on many fronts. On many fronts. And before I forget, Myra Jean said something here, and I think it's a great idea. It's in line with what you said, Brandon. She said, well, this is about the $1,200. She goes, so what I've decided to do is to give the 1,200 to a nonprofit. That way, at the end of the year, I can write it off. They gave it to me as income, but now they have to give it back to me as a contribution, a legitimate write-off on your taxes.
Yeah, and I would talk to a tax person who's dealing with this to make sure that will work in your favor too, before you just give it away or do whatever. Talk to somebody who is on the front lines of figuring this out from it.
Right.
I think that's important.
Good morning and welcome to the show. I want to welcome Sonny Von Cleveland. I see that you've shown up. And Sonny, it would be great if you could get in here There's a link at the top of the thread. It's open mic day, sound off, where people are talking about everything from finances and things like that to fears. Maybe there's a first responder you'd like to celebrate and mention here. But Sonny, I know, works in the employment business, like employment agency business.
Mhm.
And so nobody's going to work. I just thought about it. So I'm like, oh my goodness, you
Oh,
know,
and
um, God.
we've reached employment or unemployment. We've surpassed what we did during the Great Depression. Um, and so that's an interesting statistic.
Oh, I know something I want to talk about. Because when I was talking to a friend who has a show in Atlanta, a really big one, a really big show, a really big show. That was my Ed Sullivan impersonation. For those of you who are old enough to know, Brandon, you're looking like who? Okay,
Uh,
whatever. Oh, you remember? You know who Ed Sullivan was?
I have a mother-in-law that's 71. We watch a lot of old school TV, right? You know,
I didn't know
that
there was
live
really. I'd love to watch some reruns of that show. So, yeah, he broke the Beatles, the Supremes, everybody. You weren't. He was bigger than Johnny Carson. I'll tell you that. So that tells you something. Um, let me. What was I going to say now? Oh Lord, a senior moment. I should know not to stop and smell the roses when I have a thought, because that's all it takes to on. What was I going to say? What were we talking about? Oh Lord,
Well, I will tell you, I watch the Andy Griffith Show almost every day.
I do too. Did you? I saw one yesterday where Andy was in. I didn't watch the whole thing because I was actually stopping off just for a minute to rest for a second and then got back to work. But they were in a different house, and Gomer was there, sleeping up in another room and making a lot of noise, hanging out the window. That was not the house. I was like, I don't remember that one. There are episodes. Aunt B was there. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see Opie, so he was probably a teenager. I don't know. I wonder how old Opie was when they stopped recording that show. He was always a little boy on there, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, Janice Hooker Fortman says unemployment. Lots of that. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Tim Ray, my friend down in Atlanta with the show. He's the host of Awaken Atlanta. He and Shannon McVeigh. So we were talking, and I was kind of secretly laughing when he was telling me. But since then, I've seen some information on it, and it's got me thinking. He was saying that he believes that the virus is connected to 5G. Have you heard that theory?
I have, and again, who knows? Who knows if it is or not?
It was an interesting. At first, I laughed, but then when I found these videos and things, and I started listening, and then I started cross-referencing things, it was really, really, really interesting about where it started and where 5G rolled out. Happened to be in that same village
Yeah, I
over
think
there in China.
what we got to worry about is the when they start injecting us with the
Vaccination.
vaccination. You know, because then we go into zombie apocalypse kind of territory.
Well, here's another thing. Uh, I heard, or people were saying that, if you don't take the virus, then you're not going to be able to. What was it? How did it go? Something about they were going to have to monitor. It was going to get to the point where you either took they needed to be able to monitor whether you'd had your shots or not. And if you didn't have the proper shots, you weren't going to be able to travel and stuff. So it's almost thinking, and then I remember my husband Brian said, well, it sounds like those same chips that they put in animals.
Yeah,
Like
I
if your
mean,
dog gets lost.
I think there's a lot of theories, and you could chase some of that, or who knows. But I think we're in an interesting time. I think again, control what you can control.
No,
Um,
okay, here's a question for you. Are you guys Christians?
yes.
You are.
Yeah.
So you're a believer. I'm a believer.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, just personally, you don't have to answer this, but do you think this is tied into some of the religious beliefs about the second coming, the end of the world, da 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 da?
So remember when Hurricane Katrina happened
Oh yeah,
and Hurricane Rita happened right afterwards.
Rita.
And Hurricane Rita was in Texas,
Really?
right after Katrina.
I didn't even know about Rita.
Um, it impacted Texas quite a bit.
Wow.
Um,
Oh,
that
okay, I
was
remember something there. I didn't know it was a hurricane named Rita, though. Okay.
it was
Yeah, yeah. Now I do. It's
2005.
coming back. Senior moment again.
So remember, people thought it was the end of the world. All this stuff was happening, and then remember Y2K. People thought it was the end of the world. September 11th. Um, from a faith perspective, here's where I land: is we're always moving closer to the end times, regardless of what you believe. It's
Well,
closer
that's
to the
true.
end. And the mandate doesn't change. We're called to love God and love people,
Hmm.
no matter if we're at the end or at the beginning. And and you think like during the potato famine in Ireland and all that, they
Yep.
probably thought it was the end of the world during
It
the
felt
Spanish
like
flu.
it
Yeah,
because in a way, in a sense, it is at the time. It is the end of the way we've known things to be.
yeah,
Because, once you see something, you can't unsee it.
yeah.
Once you hear something, you can't unhear it. So, I mean, that's why to me, I think one of the most important things we can be doing is ascertaining what we want for ourselves and others on the other side, because
Mm-hmm.
you do have a little bit of control when it comes to that, and not much about what's taking care of all this right now. You see what I'm saying? Um,
But
but
and we will play the blame game all the time. God did this, or Donald Trump did this, or this person did this. What I'm going back to is we can control us and how we love the people around us, and really, it's kind of like the greatest commandment: love God, love people. Um, Maybe it's loving God is part of loving the world, loving the environment, all kinds of things, you know.
now you have a baby. How old
Mm-hmm.
is he? So cute.
Almost two. April 30th, he will be 2 years old.
He's almost two. So, Brandon, what do you when you see this happening and you experience it, and you look at him? What's his name?
His name is Blue. I don't usually say it online, but
Oh, is it
uh,
really?
yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at Blue and you think about what you will say to him one day about this. Have you sat and thought about this as a parent? We all think all we hear about is okay, the parents that are home with their kids that are homeschooling and this and the other. But when you look, that time when you're closing down for the night, you go and you open the door and you peek
Mm-hmm.
at him to see how he's sleeping and all that. During this pandemic, have you looked in there, as you close down your day and think about how this is going to impact his future?
So he's two, so I don't think there's like I haven't had to take him out of school or anything like that.
No.
I think one, he's an extrovert, so like going up and hugging people, or he can't do that, and he freaked out one day whenever the neighbor was like, "Oh no, don't come near me," and he kind of cried
He
because
took
he's
it
like,
personally?
yeah, because he's like, "What?" She rejected me.
Oh,
Um, and I think, again, what I want to do is help my son take responsibility for his own actions and be a thinker. Um, Not just take whatever the media or this says, but um, I want him to learn, okay, we can be controlled by the news, or we can like be somebody that's a change maker. And I think he sees how we are responded to this in our everyday actions. Um, and I'd want him to learn that, not a fear based, but
right.
a way of
A
saying,
faith.
okay, how are we doing? How am I loving people around me? How am I being not just a good person, but how am I making a difference, positive difference?
Right. So let me ask you this one. How, you know, we have mandates. Some things are recommendations. Some things are that's how it is. Parks are closed, sort of this way, and you see the signs.
Mm-hmm.
But in your household, are you still going out to the grocery store or are you ordering in? And if you go out, are you wearing masks? What are you doing?
So so my wife is the one that goes to the store, and she's as we listen to them, if they say to do that, we will. Um, but she only goes like once every 2 weeks now, while this is happening. Um, and we've tried to do a little bit of supporting local economy, um, but we don't go out to eat that much in the first place. So um, I think that's a thing to think about. We do go on our walks every day.
Yeah, so do we.
And so I think we want to continue that until they say, well, it's not safe to do that if that happens. Um, but then we have our backyard. You know, we still get out, enjoy uh, life, nature. Um, you know,
Yeah.
there are challenges,
Oh,
but
you think?
um, I'm also being aware of, hey, by me, I have a 71-year-old and a 2-year old.
All in the same house.
Yeah, but going to the store that could be impacting. I could be a carrier, right?
Right.
And so,
I mean, look at Pink. Pink
mhm,
and her 3-year-old,
yeah,
both diagnosed this past weekend, having contracted the virus. I watched her live this past weekend where she talked about that. 'Cause I just watched her last week when she was singing a spiritual
yeah,
to him while he was bathing, and she said that he wasn't feeling well and hadn't been for a few days, but she didn't say anything about the virus. And then I think that was on Thursday, and then on Saturday, she went live with a journalist and talked about the fact that they both have tested positive. I'm just gonna hit some of the comments. Good morning, Stacy. So much. How are you? Jason Andrew says you cannot deny. This is when we were talking about the biblical thing.
yeah,
He said you cannot deny that this has happened before and is recorded in the Bible. We should feel honored to be witnessing something on this level, and we should join together in giving God the glory he so richly deserves. Come on, y'all. Humanity is destroying itself when we should use this awesome time and renew ourselves.
hmm,
So that's one thing. Um, Let me hear. Oh, now talking about what we're doing, Tammy Valley. Now I know it's her, her husband, and 2 children in the house. She goes, Adam and I are able to leave the kids at home when we go out. Thank goodness, because her kids are old enough. And as we get home, we sanitize everything with wipes before we bring it in the house. Jordan is going crazy since she really hasn't gotten to go anywhere. Now, her daughter had some type of a surgery right before this happened. She's a little one. I think she's 7. So I bet it's even harder on her. Um, I do believe that people are settling in. For instance, Brian and I have noticed on our walks just recently, as compared to walking around the neighborhood a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago, people were crossing the street the minute they spotted you headed their way if you were coming
yeah,
facing each other. Or one Brian had a woman turn around and just blatantly breakneck run in the opposite direction. So he felt kind of like your little boy when the woman said, "Stop! Don't come any closer." He took it
yeah,
personally. Um, or just not knowing, is it okay? It was like a white elephant,
yeah,
in the room. People didn't know, should I acknowledge? Should I give eye contact when I walk past this person? Are they going to get mad because I didn't go way across the street? It was all these different things. But then this past weekend, the weather was really nice here, 60, and we were out walking, and it was for the first time a marked difference, an improvement, if you will. With the amount of people who went out of their way up on their porches to say hi to us on our bikes,
yeah,
to literally say something, um, half stand up and wave. I mean, they were really going above and beyond. It was so obvious. So that made us feel good that, well, maybe people at first, when they're just really scared about the change, once they get used to it, they start coming back to the kind of people I think we need to be focusing on
yeah.
being during this and after. Have you noticed anything like that there? A
Oh yeah.
loosening of the a loosening of the okay, hey, how you doing?
Some I'm like, is this normal? Because I'm in a different neighborhood. Maybe this is the way Cincinnati is. But then I had one neighbor that didn't know the other neighbor, and they'd been around each other for 2 years, and they met on Friday and had a
Wow.
conversation. So that was cool to see. Um, One thing this is something on the biblical side of things. Do you remember the story of the Tower of Babel?
Yes, where
Mm.
all of the um languages got confused.
Yep. And they were trying to build this thing towards God and make it about them as opposed to about Him, right? And so God then destroyed it and made them think or speak different languages. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, maybe this is something like that. I've never seen anything written about this or any kind of post about this, but you think about, we've been building things in our own image as opposed to God's image, and this whole idea of social distancing, stay 6 feet away from each other and stay inside, stay safe, all this other stuff. Interesting that's kind of like the uh, what our it's a very short little mandate, right, for what we're supposed to do.
Right.
Um, but then I find that people are connecting more through live streams, through social media. There's a lot more connection actually happening, and we're getting to the root of things. There's a lot more praying that's happening.
Yes,
There's,
yes, 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 yes,
there's a
yes, yes.
lot of stuff, and I'm like, maybe God is just kind of like that Tower of Babel, breaking things down.
Yeah.
Um,
Stopping and slowing us down to
mhm,
remind us of the things that are important. And I agree. I've noticed even inside of conversations, I find that my eyelid itches. Like okay. I used to on weekends, I think it was Sunday when I'm making Sunday dinner, I will think, oh, let me call my sister, Vanessa. Oh, let me call my sister Shari, or oh, let me call
mhm,
somebody, And I've made now who do I want to call this weekend is would be the kind of the thing. Um, and then we just talk pleasantry. Whereas now, like as a matter of fact, I think our family is having a Zoom family thing tonight at 6 Pacific. I got the invite last night. And the thing is now that even when I'm having one-on-one calls with people, even people that I talk to on a regular basis in my family, the topics are deeper. I have a brother, believe it or
mhm,
not, in my adopted family who until you guys, some of you know my sister's husband passed away to suicide a couple weeks before this thing happened. And we were all there. And I spoke to my brother Henry from my adopted family for the first time since 1988. And he texted me day before yesterday. And so I, instead of texting back, I called back. And we talked for about 30, 40 minutes. And I had to stop when I hung up and I was like, well, because that's the thing. I think a lot of us should think about really stop and smell the roses as far as when something different happens
mhm.
while we're underneath this bubble.
Yeah,
Really stop and take a look at it. Don't just glance out of the corner of your eye at, wow, this has really allowed me to take a better look or do better at this. Don't just make it an afterthought, or we'll have to go through something like this again. You know, um, get it. Stop. Look at it in the face. I always
yeah.
tell people, look at the opportunities that God sends you from top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, corner to corner, and corner to corner.
When
Because that's how you grow from it.
That's what happened with me with Katrina when Hurricane Katrina happened and my family was impacted. Um, and there was a time where I'm like, man, they 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 could have died, right? They lost everything, right? They lost everything, their job, their house, everything was destroyed. But what they had was themselves. They were still alive.
Yeah,
And that made me really question, what are my priorities? And am I going after things that are not important? And again, looking back and saying, okay, what is important? What is my foundation on? Um, and making changes. You
right.
know,
You know,
um,
one of the things, Jason, Jason, Brandon, that I was reading Jason Andrews' comment. That's why I said that. One of the things that's really surprised me is how on one end of the spectrum we saw people who went running and hoarding and were hiding underneath the bed from day one. And then just as recently as last week here in Chicago, or a week before, they had to go and physically make people quit playing volleyball and tag football on the beaches
Yep.
here in Chicago because they weren't taking it seriously at all. It just really is a testament to how many, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
How it's just, oh my goodness, it's like, okay, where do I want to be? Do I want to be in the middle? I just know one thing. I didn't want to move from a place of ignorance, like people out there running around. And I didn't want to move from a place of fear,
Yep.
so that's what it's been teaching me. Let me just ask you this. Have you, have you felt fearful at all during this thing?
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of emotions. There's the um, stages of grief, right? The fear, it's not going to have, it doesn't affect me. Ignore it. I don't remember all of the stages of grief,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um, what's going to happen in reality is we need to get past the fear and ignorance stage to, okay, yes, this is real. What am I going to be different about? And so many people are going to just stay in fear. That's what they do. That's how they make decisions, financial decisions. They don't make any moves because of fear. Or they're on the other end of saying, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. And who cares? I'll go to Florida and play volleyball with everybody. And who cares? Because it's not going to affect me. That's not
Right.
very, and you got to like balance those, but the stages of grief and looking at where am I at on this and how can I get out of that quickly? Because fear is not the place to live in ever.
So let's see what you let's project. Let's do some projections here. So what do you see our world looking like? I'll choose my birthday on the 4th of July. Where do you think we're at? Are we still quarantined? Are we still distancing 6 feet? Are we back out there? Is it business as usual?
I don't
Or
think we'll, I don't think we'll ever have business as usual.
do you
They
think
have
we
not
do you
had a
think
vet.
wait a minute. Do you think that the world will come back to as a world we've never seen?
I think so. I think it'll
I do
be.
too.
I
I do
think
too.
like
Go ahead.
they haven't they haven't created a vaccine yet. And if this is like the flu, I think that we'll have a second wave of something, maybe. I don't know. And I think that from a business perspective, I think that there's going to be an influx of entrepreneurship. There's going to be an influx of contractors. There's going to be a lot more of that, which we are already on the brink, and it wasn't as healthy. But businesses are going to be, they're not going to hire back as they restructure, or they're going to hire as contractors. And I think that's where we need to really take our finances seriously because we are responsible for that personally, for our future and for that. And so I don't think we're going to be at that place. Like, if you think about it, remember like in grocery stores and all that, the self checkout, I think that's going to increase everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me jump in for a second. There's something I saw, and it was from one of my followers down in Benton Harbor, Michigan, a couple of days ago, and I can't shake it. I think it's a wonderful idea. But she said, she goes, I think that first responders, nurses, doctors, firemen, paramedics, all the people that are working all these crazy hours, putting themselves at risk over and over and over and over and over again. She goes, I think that they should have all of their student loan debts forgiven after this. And I was like, wow, what a great idea. And someone else had said, when we get to the other side of this, I don't want to see any award shows, Grammys and Oscars with stars walking the red carpet, standing in front of Stephen
mhm.
Reed. I want to see teachers, first responders, nurses, the girl from the dollar store who rang me up, the girl from the grocery store who's in there putting themselves on the front lines every day so that we can stay safe. They need to be walking these red carpets. And I'm hitting the bell of purpose right now. I'm saying to everybody, let's show some love. I agree. I am so think about it. If those people did not go to work or said, screw it, I want to stay alive too.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It has reminded me of the commitment that some people have to being of service to others. And I think that's where our focus needs to be, on those people that are there every day that don't have to be. They could bury their head in the sand, they could stay home, they could get somebody else to do it if they could find them. But they're going and they're going and they're going some more. So I tip my hat to them. I really do. It has made me think of ways to be a better me because of them. So I really think that's one of the things we all need to really be grateful for, and let them know how much we appreciate them. That's what I'm thinking. Well, Brandon,
But
here, go ahead.
and
Final thought. Final thought.
as, as we come out of this, tipping and giving love and grace towards those people who are in those places, like we took it for granted,
Yeah.
and looking and saying, what's the value that we have? And I do think education is over inflated in costs, and I think that's going to shift a little bit. But um,
Yes.
yeah, be loving to them. Also protect them by if they say wear gloves and mask, maybe that's a good thing to do to
Do it.
protect those people that we depend on.
Absolutely. Give my love to your family, grandmama, the baby, and to your lovely wife, Amanda. Thank you guys for continuing to serve and to be of service to others. And thank you for stepping up today. It was a great conversation.
Awesome.
I love that you always are willing to be the one to speak. So thank you so much. And uh,
Check out Grandma's Wealth Wisdom. We do a live at 8 p.m. Eastern every day
yeah,
right
drop
now
that
about
stuff in. Drop it in, won't you? Okay.
Yep,
All right.
sure.
Thanks, Brendan.
No
Brandon, have a
problem.
good day. God
You
bless.
too. Bye.
So thanks to Brandon Neely, man, he sure took it, helped me get through this hour. A lot of good things. I just want to say thank you guys. God bless you all. Um, Even if you didn't speak here, speak to someone. Let's talk to each other. Let's get to know each other. We have all the time in the world right now. Even though they're telling us to be separated, to distance ourselves, really, it should make us closer. It should bring us closer, don't you think? I think so. I'm Lauren Michaels Harris. This has been Bathrobe Moments. Please join me tomorrow when I have Dr. Mark Gomez. He's an internist, a good friend of mine, and he's going to be here tomorrow to give us some tips on how to stay healthy and what's really going on from behind the scenes on the front lines, because he's there every day. So we're going to talk about that. A great show. Tell everybody, be here tomorrow. You're going to hear from a doctor who deals with this every single day, and how it's changed his life and what we can look forward to over the next few weeks. That's Dr. Mark Gomez tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., God willing, right here on Bathrobe Moments. Have a great day. Get out there now and do what we do. Love up on everyone you can. But remember, in order to do that effectively, don't forget to love yourself first. Okay? God bless you. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.